Have you ever looked at your blood sugar numbers and wondered, why does it feel like my body is working against me now? Because for millions of people over 50, that's exactly what it feels like. You try to eat better. You cut back on sugar. You take the medication. You walk more. And somehow, the cravings still come back, the energy keeps dropping, and those fasting numbers refuse to cooperate. But recently, researchers started paying closer attention to one simple vegetable that most people barely think about anymore: okra. Now I know what some people are already thinking. The slimy vegetable. Yes, that one. And surprisingly, that slimy texture may actually be the most powerful part. Because inside that gel-like texture is something called mucilage, a special type of soluble fiber that behaves differently inside the body. One of the biggest benefits of okra is how it may help support blood sugar stability. Instead of sugar rushing quickly into the bloodstream after meals, the soluble fiber in okra may help slow that process down. And that matters, because many experts now believe repeated blood sugar spikes may be one of the biggest drivers behind fatigue, cravings, inflammation, and weight gain as we age. That's why many people who regularly eat okra say they feel more stable after meals, less crashing, less constant snacking, and fewer intense cravings late at night. Another major benefit people often notice is appetite control. Okra's thick fiber helps food stay in the stomach longer, which may help people feel fuller for longer periods of time. And after 50, that becomes incredibly important, because metabolism slows down. Hormones change, muscle mass declines, and the body becomes much more sensitive to unstable blood sugar. So when people constantly feel hungry every 2 hours, it's not always because they lack willpower. Sometimes the body simply isn't getting the kind of support it needs. And this is where okra becomes interesting. Some people even describe it as a quieting food, not because it makes you sleepy, but because it may help calm down the constant food noise and cravings. Then there's digestion. This is another area where many people notice changes surprisingly fast. Bloating, constipation, feeling heavy after meals, gas, irregular bathroom habits. These problems become extremely common with age. And because okra contains both soluble and insoluble fiber, many people report more comfortable digestion after adding it consistently into their routine. Not overnight miracles, just steadier digestion, better regularity, and less discomfort after eating. And here's something important most people don't realize. Better digestion can also improve energy. When the body struggles to process food properly, energy drops, inflammation rises, blood sugar swings become more intense, and people start feeling exhausted all the time. That's why some people who regularly eat okra say they feel lighter, more awake, and more stable throughout the day. Not hyper, not jittery, just better. Researchers have also been studying okra's antioxidant compounds, because okra contains polyphenols and flavonoids that may help reduce oxidative stress inside the body. And oxidative stress is connected to many age-related problems, including inflammation, blood vessel damage, insulin resistance, and even cognitive decline. Think of oxidative stress like rust slowly building up inside the body over time. Certain foods may help reduce some of that wear and tear, and okra appears to be one of them. Some people even notice changes in their skin. Now that may sound superficial at first, but the skin often reflects what's happening internally. Hydration, digestion, inflammation, blood sugar balance, circulation. All of these affect how the skin looks and feels. Many people who consistently increase fiber, hydration, and nutrient-rich foods begin noticing calmer, brighter-looking skin over time. Another reason researchers became interested in okra is because of its possible impact on circulation and heart health. Many adults over 50 struggle with poor circulation, cold feet, low energy, brain fog, tingling sensations. Some early research suggests okra's fiber and antioxidant compounds may help support healthier cholesterol and triglyceride levels when combined with an overall healthy lifestyle. And that matters because long-term blood sugar problems often damage blood vessels slowly over time. Kidney health is another area people rarely think about until there's already a problem. The kidneys work non-stop every day, filtering waste, balancing fluids, helping regulate blood pressure, and high blood sugar places enormous stress on them. Some preliminary research suggests okra may help support kidney health by helping reduce oxidative stress and inflammation. Now, to be very clear, okra is not a cure for kidney disease, and it does not replace medical treatment. But foods that help support metabolic health may help reduce some of the stress the body deals with daily. Another reason many people start adding okra into their routine is weight management, especially stubborn belly weight after 50. And if you've experienced that frustration, you know how discouraging it can feel. You eat less, you try harder, and somehow the scale barely changes. Part of that involves hormones. Part involves poor sleep. Part involves stress. But unstable blood sugar and constant cravings also play a major role. Because when insulin remains elevated too often, the body becomes more likely to store fat. And since okra may help slow glucose absorption and improve fullness, many people find it easier to control portions and cravings. Not because okra magically melts fat. It doesn't. But because it may help create a more stable metabolic environment inside the body. Now let's talk about okra water because this trend has exploded online recently. Many people slice fresh okra pods and soak them overnight in water. Then they drink the water first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. The reason people do this is because soaking releases some of the soluble compounds and mucilage into the water. And yes, it's slimy. There's no way around that. But a lot of people say adding lemon or lime makes it much easier to drink. At the same time, it's important to understand that eating the whole pod likely provides more overall nutritional benefits because the seeds and fiber remain intact. So okra water can be helpful, but whole okra may be even better. Now, before you start eating large amounts of okra every day, there are a few important things you should know. First, if you take blood sugar medications like metformin, talk to your healthcare provider before making major dietary changes. Because large amounts of fiber may affect how certain medications are absorbed. Second, more is not always better. You do not need excessive amounts. Consistency matters far more than overload. Third, no food works alone. You cannot out-eat chronic stress. You cannot out-eat poor sleep. You cannot out-eat a highly processed lifestyle. Real health usually comes from combining several habits together: good nutrition, movement, sleep, hydration, stress management, consistency. But what foods like okra can do is support the process quietly, gradually, over time. And honestly, that may be the biggest lesson here. The biggest mistake most people make with okra. One of the biggest mistakes people make is expecting instant results. They try something healthy for 3 or 4 days, and if they don't suddenly feel like a completely different person, they give up. But the body doesn't usually heal overnight, especially after years of inflammation, blood sugar instability, stress, poor sleep, and processed foods. Most long-term health problems develop slowly. And because they develop slowly, improvement often happens slowly too. That's why consistency matters more than intensity. And honestly, that's one reason okra has become so interesting to researchers. Not because it's some extreme biohack, but because it supports several systems inside the body at the same time. Okra may help reduce blood sugar spikes. One thing many people over 50 struggle with is what happens after meals. The sudden sleepiness, the heavy feeling, the intense cravings a few hours later, the brain fog. A lot of that may be connected to unstable glucose swings. When blood sugar rises too quickly, the body responds aggressively with insulin. Then blood sugar drops again, and suddenly people feel hungry, tired, irritated, or mentally foggy. Researchers believe okra's soluble fiber may help slow digestion enough to soften those spikes. And even small improvements in glucose stability can affect energy, appetite, mood, focus, cravings, weight management. That's why many people say they feel more balanced when they consistently include high-fiber foods like okra in their meals. Not dramatically different overnight, just more stable. Why okra may help people feel full longer. One reason many diets fail is because people constantly feel hungry, and chronic hunger becomes emotionally exhausting. You start the day motivated, then the cravings arrive, then the snacking starts, then the guilt follows afterward. But foods rich in soluble fiber often help increase satiety. Okra absorbs water and creates a thicker texture inside the digestive tract. That process may help slow stomach emptying and help people stay full longer. And after 50, that becomes incredibly important. Because many adults are no longer eating out of true hunger. They're eating because blood sugar crashes, stress hormones rise, sleep quality declines, energy drops, cravings intensify. And sometimes the body simply needs more nutritional stability. The connection between okra and gut health. Researchers are becoming increasingly interested in the connection between gut health and overall wellness because the digestive system affects much more than people realize. It affects energy, immunity, mood, hormones, inflammation, blood sugar balance, and when the gut becomes irritated or inflamed, many people experience symptoms like bloating, constipation, gas, fatigue, brain fog, irregular digestion. Okra's mucilage may help soothe irritation in the digestive tract, while its fiber supports better regularity. And for many people, better digestion often creates a chain reaction throughout the body, because when digestion improves, people often notice better energy, better mood, better appetite control, better hydration, less heaviness after meals. Okra and inflammation. One thing scientists now understand much better than before is how deeply inflammation affects aging. Low-grade inflammation has been connected to joint discomfort, fatigue, weight gain, insulin resistance, cardiovascular problems, cognitive decline. And while no single food eliminates inflammation completely, certain foods may help reduce some of the stress placed on the body. Okra contains antioxidant compounds like flavonoids and polyphenols that researchers continue studying for their anti-inflammatory potential. That may be one reason some people report improvements, not just in digestion and energy, but also in overall recovery and daily comfort. Why some people notice skin changes. This surprises a lot of people, but when hydration improves, when digestion improves, and when inflammation decreases, the skin often reflects those internal changes. Some people notice brighter skin, better hydration, less irritation, fewer breakouts, a healthier overall appearance. Again, not because okra is magic, but because the body functions better when supported properly. How to eat okra for the most benefits. There are several ways people commonly eat okra. Some of the most popular methods include roasting it in the oven, adding it to soups or stews, sautéing it with olive oil and garlic, grilling it, blending small amounts into smoothies, making okra water overnight. Many people prefer roasted okra because it reduces the slimy texture. Others actually enjoy the texture because of the soothing effect it creates. And for okra water, many people. 1. Slice 4 fresh okra pods. 2. Soak them overnight in water. 3. Refrigerate the jar. 4. Drink it in the morning on an empty stomach. Some people add lemon, lime, cucumber, mint. 2A improve the taste and make the texture easier. Important side effects and warnings. Even healthy foods can have downsides for certain people. And that's important to say honestly. Possible issues some people may experience include gas, bloating, digestive discomfort, sensitivity to high fiber, especially if they suddenly eat large amounts too quickly. That's why many people do better starting slowly. Another important warning involves blood sugar medication. Some evidence suggests very high amounts of okra may interfere with the absorption of medications like metformin. So if someone takes diabetes medication regularly, it's important to speak with their healthcare provider before making major dietary changes. People with kidney stone history should also be cautious because okra contains oxalates. Again, this does not mean okra is dangerous. It simply means balance and awareness matter. The real secret most people miss. The truth is, no single food changes everything. Not okra, not apple cider vinegar, not turmeric, not supplements. Real health usually comes from stacking small habits consistently over time. That means better sleep, more movement, better hydration, more whole foods, less processed sugar, stress management, consistency. But foods like okra can absolutely support the process. And for many people over 50, that support may help the body feel more stable again, less inflamed, less reactive, less exhausted. And honestly, that's something a lot of people are desperately looking for. Sometimes, the healthiest foods are not the expensive trendy products everyone markets online. Sometimes, they're the simple foods people have quietly eaten for generations. And maybe that's part of the lesson here. The body often responds best to consistency, nourishment, and support, not extremes. So if you've never tried okra before, maybe this is your sign to experiment with it for a couple of weeks. Pay attention to your digestion, your cravings, your energy, your appetite, your recovery, and how you feel after meals. Because sometimes the body whispers before it screams, and those small signals matter. Sometimes the most powerful foods are not expensive supplements, not trendy powders, not miracle cures. Sometimes they're simple foods people have been eating for generations. So if you've never tried okra before, maybe this is your sign to experiment with it for a couple of weeks. You can roast it, add it to soup, saute it with olive oil and garlic, or try okra water in the morning. Then simply pay attention. Notice your digestion. Notice your cravings. Notice your energy. Notice how your body feels after meals. Because sometimes the body whispers before it screams, and those small signals matter. So now I want to hear from you. Have you ever tried okra before? Would you ever drink okra water? And if you already eat okra regularly, what changes have you personally noticed? Leave your experience down in the comments. And if you found this video helpful, share it with someone trying to improve their health naturally. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of yourself. Take care of the people you love. And I'll see you in the next video.